Okay, good morning, everybody. We're going to begin the Operations Committee meeting, and the first on the agenda is the vaccination plan. Great.
Good morning, and glad to be with you this morning. And we're talking about the vaccination plan early, right at the beginning, right here in July. So I'd like to introduce Valerie W. Cook, who is the immunization associate, who is working in our office and doing a fantastic job of involving schools and parents. And he's no introduction, but he's everybody's right hand, not just ours. And we're glad to be here with you. I'm Louise Fink, and I'm the Director of Home and Hospital and Health Services. And I'm very happy to be with you this morning. So we're going to run through the slides and then go on from there. So our guiding principles are to communicate the health and educational benefits of immunizations to students, families, and communities. We want to make sure that all the students have updated immunizations, and it's even been more sharply into focus this year when we read about some of the outbreaks across the country, and we had a music alert here in the city. We are living in a time where people question things, and so those people who do not remember what it was like when the diseases were prevalent are thinking about what the side effects are and what's happening, and not remembering what it was like. So we're trying to educate parents about the fact that no, we're not trying to hurt your child, and no, we're not trying to do anything bad to them, but that this is better for them than what used to be before we had the vaccines. Requirements are up here on the board and in your packet, and it talks about what the requirements are for this school year. And one of the things the legislature did, this is year 5 years ago, was they determined that we would have to have Tdap come in and do Hopper vaccine for kids, which they phased in over a 5-year period. This is year 5, which means that everybody from 7th through 12th grade has to have the vaccines. And then this will be the vaccination plan unless the legislature changes going on and going forward. Until now, it's been changing every year, where they added a year. But from right now, we are at this particular point in the plan. I'm going to let Valerie tell you about some of the highlights that we did this year. Go ahead, Val, I want you to question.
So we supported a major effort to ensure all 7th grade students had received their meningococcal and Tdap before the start of the school year, because approximately each year there's 3,000 plus students who are compliant with all other immunizations, but entering 7th grade they become out of compliant because they need those 2 additional immunizations that Louise spoke of. We do have school-based health centers in schools, such as Vanguard is a big one, that are instrumental in providing immunizations to students that are enrolled in their buildings. They can be enrolled in the school-based health center, and if they're not enrolled in the school-based health center, they can still receive the immunizations as long as they get parental permission before receiving the vaccine. We support schools in helping families obtain immunizations by providing locations where they can go besides the health department. Recently, Hopkins Bayview does have a health van that does come out to Patterson Park throughout the week to help provide immunizations as well as checkups and healthy visits. We also partner with the Baltimore City Health Department to provide clinics at the Eastern Health Department clinic, which is currently located on Caroline Street, but will be moving shortly to East Fayette Street in early August, which I think we're going to touch base on in a few moments.
So this year, one of the things that we do, and unfortunately, it's one of the things that you have to do in order to make sure that everybody complies. Students who do not have their immunizations are excluded from school. So we're going to allow them to be admitted temporarily until September 23rd if they have an appointment. But we're going to distribute letters in the schools, which the schools have for the students who are out of compliance, right on the first day of school. We will be doing robocalls, and we will be getting in touch with the schools in the meantime. So if the students do not have that evidence of immunization by the 20th day, then they will be excluded from school. There are 2 ways that students can be excused from getting immunizations. One is that they have a medical exemption, and And medical exemptions can either have some kind of, if they have somebody that's immune suppressant, or if they're getting chemotherapy, things like that, where their doctor says it is not in their best interest to be immunized. Also in the state of Maryland, we have a religious exemption. Religious exemption in Maryland is very easy to get. You just have to say your religion doesn't want you to be immunized and sign that 896 form. You don't need any additional documentation, but you just have to put that into the record.
Do we know, what percentage of our kids exercise that religious exemption?
I don't know the percentage. Last year it was about 400 and something that exercised it. So that was the number that we had. It wasn't a large number. We can get you the exact number and percentage. At this particular point, it's part of it is because it's a floating number, so that at any given day, any number that I give you can be different the next day, so that we can have kids who are in compliance on July 1st and on August 1st or not. So it's a floating number and a little bit different percentage. Our Infinite Campus program allows the school to run reports so that they can look each day and everywhere where they want to go and see where they are in terms of immunizations and how many immunizations they're doing. So one of the things that does happen is that because of what I just alluded to, it's a changing number. So kids can fall out of compliance even when they're in compliance, like the 3,000 kids that fall out of compliance just by being promoted to 7th grade. Or they can fall out of compliance because they're in pre-K or K and they have a birthday. So they're in compliance till the day of their 5th birthday, and on their 5th birthday they're out of compliance if they didn't get those shots. Also for students who are coming here from other countries, sometimes they are on what they call a catch-up schedule. So they will get their immunizations when they come here, and then they have to get the updated immunizations 3 months later, and they don't go through them, so that step-up schedule puts them out of compliance. So that it's not like you can run that report in September and you know just where it's going to be for the rest of the year. It's a constantly changing document. Valerie is going to support the school leaders and staff in their outreach for the summer. We're going to work with our partners to provide free clinics in school buildings and in partner locations. One of the problems we've had with bringing vans and things like the schools is that nobody can give you an immunization without your parents' permission. So as we've done with a lot of programs, we have the schools having to get permission slips for people to come out and give them, because otherwise it's in vain. We are also partnering with the transportation department to bring students who have permission slips to the health department clinics on the days when they're going to be in the health department buildings. This year, there's a little group of kids that are going to be really upset because some of the things were step-ups during that 5-year period. So now this year, some of the 5th graders and 12th graders are going to need those immunizations for the full time, which means that anybody who had the bad luck to be retained is going to have the new requirements, even though they were in compliance last year. So we informed everybody about the students who were non-compliant at the beginning of June. We let them know who was going to be non-compliant by running those reports, which Valerie did this very tedious job of going through all the schools and projecting which kids were going to be out of compliance, going to Immunet and finding out from Immunet which kids have the vaccinations listed even though they didn't need them yet, and then letting them know which students who can need them. They have a list of students who will be out of compliance for them for the staff to contact the parents, and we're doing this over the summer and throughout. We do this throughout the school year. Schools who are always concerned about student learning, about attendance, don't want to exclude kids when they fall out of compliance. And we get into this big push at the beginning of the school year because the legislature has said that if your child is not immunized or have a valid exemption by September 30th, they are not included in the child count. So we're going to distribute the non-compliance letters to all summer learning and extended school sites, and we're going to let students know where they can get free immunizations. We're going to send robocalls and text alerts to all the parents and students who are out of compliance. Right now, just to give you a little background information, those of you who read our daily newspapers are aware of the fact that the city has been attacked by this here. And one of the things that's done is to set some of the schedules and things that are running in the health department. The health was supposed to move this facility at the beginning of June. A lot of things got held up, and now they're going to move it during the first week of August. So some of these dates are not exact yet. We'll give you the exact dates as soon as they get them to us. But they're going to be holding clinics at their Eastern Health District, which is moving to 1,200. It's 1,200. Moving to 1,200 East Fayette. And they'll do 100 students a day. Well, people get them, and they have their family there. There's going to be 3 clinics in July, and we have that posted. And the back to school rally on Saturday is going to be a time when parents can get free vaccinations right at the site for their students. And that's going to be a more Memorial Plaza, and that date is confirmed since we did that. So that will be nice. And hours are going to be about clinics.
So ongoing support, on Tuesdays, there are later hours at the clinic until 5 o'clock to help support families that might be working and can't get to the clinic in the early morning hours. Currently, they're still at the Carolina location, but in August, they're going to be moving. We did have a tentative date that they're going to be moving the early part of August 5th through the 9th, so we hope that they're going to be back up and running by August 12th in the new location at 1200 East Fayette. The Friday clinics in September, as Louise spoke about, schools will be able to transport students there between hours of 9 and 4. It does require an appointment, so the schools will have to schedule an appointment that they will be bringing the students on buses, and they do need at least one chaperone from the school. And then on Saturday clinics, we just received information that we are tentatively going to be able to have a clinic on a Saturday before school starts on August 24th. We just want to confirm that with the health departments, that will be a Saturday, August 24th, as well as 2 additional dates in September for immunizations.
Challenges, well, one of the first challenges we really heard, and that was a challenge of the fact that the health department has been in this process of moving, and that some of the information that we need and to share with them has been difficult to do because of the ransomware attack on along with everybody else. That some of our health department friends have picked up different Google addresses so we can actually communicate with them, because half the time their email still isn't working. We are notorious in our school system for having difficulty getting permission slips. So the schools are going to have to really work hard to get permission slips. Even when we get someone to come to schools to do immunizations, they cannot touch a child without their parents' permission. Schools need to get that documentation put in for legal exemptions. A student has a medical exemption, or the parent is asking for a religious exemption. They must enter them into the field, because otherwise we don't know if we don't know a way of getting that information accurately and legally at time. And then at this particular point, again, the new location is an issue. We're working on it, but let's hope that everything works out well. We always have this trying September to get everybody together, and we have managed to get to a 99.9% vaccination rate. I can tell you for a fact we will never get to 100, and the reason we'll never get to 100 is because of what we were talking about, the people slipping out or coming in and enrolling, but we will do our best.
Can you repeat that number again?
We got to 99.9.
99.9?
But that's still, what? That's still a lot of kids who weren't vaccinated. And we want to make sure that we get them all vaccinated. We don't want to be one of the people that ends up on the news without.
So you said 3,000 non-compliant, right?
3,000, yeah, no, 3,000 for TDAP and
For
then
TDAP and mental health.
there's other kids who are non-compliant on this rolling type of thing, so we'll have a new number on August 1st. We'll talk about the kids whose birthdays came during the summer or step-up schedule came.
So if you have 3,000 non-compliant, how many kids in the system?
78,000?
So how do you get 99.9%?
Oh, because that's what we had that's what we had at the beginning of the school year on September 30th. Oh, I'm sorry. That's where we were on September 30th. We're not there now, obviously.
Okay, so right now, what's your percentage?
I don't know, it changes every
So it's
day.
3,000 divided by what?
It's not 3,000 because it's more than 3,000.
Okay.
It's 3,000 plus the kids who are out of compliance for other reasons. That
Okay.
is just TCAP and the middle
So what's that number?
The current number that are out of one or both
Right.
is 2,493.
Total students, how many?
Well, I don't have that breakdown, I only had it as of the seventh graders. Right now, we have 5,884 seventh graders for the incoming school year. And currently, there are 2,493 that will need one or both of those vaccines.
So you got 2,500 non-compliant out of 77,000 students, right?
Out of-
for those two vaccines.
Okay. Gotcha. How do we make parents accountable? Look like parents is the biggest impediment. How do you get them involved? Looks like parents are the biggest impediment in terms of getting this done. What's the engagement with parents?
We do robocalls to the parents, the schools make individual phone calls, we send them letters. We actually have sent some of our mental health counselors out and our social workers out to meet with families, to make sure to get permission slips or to encourage them to get vaccinations. And unfortunately, for some parents, until the day you say your kid can't come to school, it doesn't have any effect. So one of the things that finally works with parents is saying, your kid can't come to school tomorrow until you get that vaccine.
Can I add something? Some of the issues that I've had in talking with families is just misinformation. So the more we educate families, and that can start at the school level as well as from our office, they don't really know the vaccines. They read so much, but they don't ask questions, or they're afraid to ask questions. So when you talk about what could be the side effects, everyone is always upset about, oh, well, my child might get that side effect. So it's just really information, the autism, people worry that their child's going to get autism. So the more the schools and we as a whole can educate parents, we've had parents worry about whether or not, with like the flu clinic going around, that we were going to reuse needles. So it's really just getting out information that, clean instruments are going to be used. The likelihood that your child is going to develop a side effect is very low. Those are kind of what prevents families. They're not sure of the information, and we just need to make sure whether it's coming from the clinic level or the personal physician level or the school level from the health suite. And we as a whole just talk about, why it's important, as Dr. Fink was referring to earlier, that, some of these diseases have been eradicated. And then, of course, with the measles outbreak that we had a few short weeks ago, it really brought to the forefront that those things can be more deadly or more problematic than actually getting the vaccine. So I really think education would be helpful in making sure that families are more accepting of getting the vaccine.
Can you go to page 3 of the slide? Yeah, that. So you said your focus right now is 5th graders and 12th graders for 2019, 2020.
Well, for the whole.
Yeah,
Right.
hypothetically, if I'm a 5th grader,
Mhm.
how many shots do I need basically going across the line? I mean, I'm just confused in terms of, it's a big number.
Right.
How many
So
shots is a 5th grader?
for a 5th grader, so by the time they get, did you want to answer it?
No, go ahead. But it's for kids who are currently in 6th grade, and then we would be, the up number is because the Maryland State Department of Education has mandated different vaccines starting in 7th grade. So most of the students would have had everything else that was mandated before they got to that 7th grade. The two new ones for that, there are the TDAP and the meningococcal, but you can go through the list of what they should have had.
So in 7th grade, I need 2 shots, 2 more shots.
2 more shots.
So how many shots do I need between kindergarten and 6th grade? Based on that, I couldn't understand.
Sure. So by the time, when children enter school, as long as they're keeping up and they're going to the ducks, so say entering kindergarten, they need 3 to 4 shots of DTaP, which is your diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, which is the first column.
So that's 3 shots.
Right, by the time, so that's going from like first year throughout, till they get 5 years of age. And then polio,
Right.
They need 3 of those, and they're spread out from the year on to kindergarten. The measles, mumps, rubella, they get the first one at age 1, and then the second one at their 5th birthday. So they have, those are 2, both of them have to be by their 5th birthday. Varicella, same thing, first one at their 1st birthday, second one when they turn, entering kindergarten. So it doesn't have to be at their 5th birthday, but typically they're given at the same time the MMR is given. So, and then Hep B, again, that's given at birth, and they need 3 of those by the time basically they're going into pre-K, they actually have had those 3 of the Hep.
Is this a reality?
Yes, yes.
It's reality,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
when they get to school, at the entry level, they have to have had all of those shots when they get admitted. So some of those numbers fall out for kids who come into our system in 2nd or 3rd grade, or, transfer in from other places. But typically, our kids have their immunizations before they enter pre-K, and they have their updates before kindergarten. And that next big piece comes when they hit 7th grade, and there are 2 shots that they were in compliance for 2 or 3 years, and then all of a sudden, this is something new that they.
So it's so easy to get it before kindergarten. Why is it so hard to get it while you're in school?
For 2 reasons. And one reason is that most parents are very religious about taking their young babies to the doctor. They take them to the doctor when they're born, they take them when they have their 3-month and 6-month checkups, and they take them when they're 2, and then all of a sudden they're in school and they're big, and the next time they get to the doctor, they're either if they're sick or if they need a sports physical, so that they're not keeping regular checkups. That's reason number 1. And reason number 2 is because it kind of gets to the back of their mind. So most of the kids today really don't get a good physical after they're babies until they talk to their sports physicals or things like that, where parents say, oh, I've got to bring my kid to the doctor. And in fact, we have a program as part of our athletics program where we're getting kids sports physicals for the parents who aren't bringing them.
Thank you.
And in addition, there are not many 5th graders that are going to be out of compliance, because if they have been following, they would have been the first year of the kindergarten. So 5 years ago, they would have been those kindergarten students that needed the second varicella to enter kindergarten. So there are very few that are going to make up the out of compliance 5th graders for varicella. Right now, looking at the list this morning, the highest number of kids that are out of compliance for varicella are the ones who are in pre-K that need to get it before entering school. So, which typically they do. So the numbers, like Dr. Fink say, they change every day, because once they get the immunization, and then it gets into Immunet from the health department, and then we're able to see it in a few days. So the likelihood that we have students that right now are showing out of compliance but do have the vaccine or will be getting the vaccine, it's very high that they're going to be getting that. So those 5th graders are a small number. It's more the pre-K students that will need to make sure that they're getting them.
Thank you for your attack on the process of summer school. It's a pretty good idea.
Any other questions? And as you are out doing that, being ambassadors for the school system, encourage your friends and relatives and neighbors to get their kids vaccinated before school begins, because every single ambassador, every person who tells one person is one less person that we have to worry about. And this is something that the system required, but is really also in the best interest of our children to be vaccinated. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Okay. Next on the agenda are procurement items.
Joe, you could skip 9.01. Sorry, you could skip 9.01. That was approved in the special pop. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Good morning. I'm Joe Vogel, Interim Director of Procurement. There are now 6 items to talk about today. The first item, request the board's approval to purchase food permits and food manager IDs from Baltimore City Health Department. These are for city schools' food servicing facilities. Permits and the IDs are mandatory to operate an establishment that serves food to the public. The current contract cost is $53,200. Contract term is July 24, 2019 through July 23, 2020.
Any questions?
What's the difference between high priority and moderate priority?
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Marchett. I'm with Food and Nutrition Services. Students and younger children are considered high priority because they have a more vulnerable immune system. So priority is also given based on the technicality of the level of cooking that you're doing on site, whether you're cooking raw proteins or not is another consideration that I would use, specific to your individual district's HACCP.
Just explain what is the food permit, the purpose of it?
So for every food service establishment, whether you're talking about a school cafeteria or a restaurant, you have to have a food service permit. This means that you have a ServSafe certified manager on site, someone who is trained in safe food handling practices, maintaining proper temperatures, making sure you're following the proper process to ensure that you're serving safe food. This also includes 2 annual visits by inspectors from the health department to make sure you are following your plan for safe food service, and it also includes the manager's ID, which shows that they are certified by the health department. The health department has their information on file as someone who is able to supervise the food service site in the city.
And is it the district's responsibility to get permits for charter schools, or do they do that on their own?
Yes, we also provide those permits for charter schools.
So the quantity looks like 171 for locations and 120 for individuals, is that, I'm reading correctly?
Yeah, some of our schools do have 1 cafeteria, maybe 2 or 3 schools in that building, so the number isn't akin to the actual number of sites, but we do maintain them for traditional and charter schools.
Okay. Great, thank you.
The next item requests board's approval of a competitively bid contract with Carey Sales and Services Incorporated. The contract provides for the purchase of various kitchen equipment and supplies. The estimated annual contract amount is $600,000. The contract term is July 24, 2019 through July 23, 2022, with 1 2-year renewal. The next item requests the board's
Can I
approval.
just ask, in terms of the MWBE participation, this was waived
Yes, it was.
because it can't be segmented, or?
With Brian here, yes, we did try to do that, and it took us a while to get to the point where we really could not segregate it. Basically, it's buying equipment, buying supplies.
And there are no MBE primes or subs?
The prime certainly could have submitted bids, but they did not.
Thank you. Okay, next.
The next item requests the board's approval of a contract extension with Verizon to provide local telephone service. The estimated contract amount is $1.2 million. The contract term is July 24, 2019 through June 30th of 2020.
My question is, you talk about annual estimated cost savings. What is it?
Obviously, Carmen, I'm the special assistant of the CIO. I've got Elvis Tia, he's the director of infrastructure and IT. So currently, in the past, about 2-3 years ago, our monthly Verizon expense was about $230,000 a month. With this new renewal, we're anticipating it to be about $100,000 a month.
So you said from 230 to 100?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And is this something that is competitively bid? I don't know the technology well enough. In terms of can this be bid? Is there an alternative approach to doing phone service? I see voice over internet protocol, which I don't correctly understand. What were the options and how do we procure this?
So this particular iteration is an extension from prior competitively bid contract. We anticipate after this 1 year going back to a competitively bid procurement for Verizon.
Why didn't we competitively bid it this year?
we're riding the Maryland State contract, the DGS contract with Verizon, which was competitively solicited. We did not do that ourselves.
But we're extending it. We're extending a piggyback contract, or
Yes, sir. Yes.
but we could have gone out and bid it. Can we do that next year? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Next.
The next item requests board's approval to award a service contract to Training Company. The contract provides for comprehensive HVAC products, installation and related services on an as-needed basis for training equipment. The estimated amount of the contract is $750,000. Contract term of July 24, 2019, and July 23, 2021, with two-year renewal options.
I just have one question, just to make me smarter. What do you mean by unique and singular capability?
Unique and similar. Right now, when we get to it, with some of our 21st century schools as well, our service requirement vendors can only go so far in the programming that training provides, and they have to call a training technician in. So our objective is to eliminate the second party and go directly to training and bypass our third party vendors and bring them in directly to resolve the issues of their software programs as well as their equipment.
So the only person who can do this well, easily is trained.
Well, training, it's their equipment.
Okay.
It's the proprietary equipment. Our technicians, Johnson Controls, J.F. Fisher, Horton, Denver Ellick, and there's one of them, Chad was last year. But anyway, their technicians can only go so far, and the software, such as other proprietary companies have, can only, they require additional workmanship that, to further correct any problems that we're finding, such as diking, they do the same thing. You can go to a certain service level that you can manipulate or fix and correct, but then you get to a point where we can't go any further, that would require a special technician from their own source. Thank you.
Christian, I know we have our calendar set for the year, for how long, for us. We received these at our meetings, and we received the recommendations for MWP participation. We accept the fact, and there's no reason why we shouldn't accept the recommendation of the department that there's waivers, but there's frequent waivers. And it would be useful, I think, I don't know if my fellow commissioners agree, to have someone at some point come in and just, because we're approving procurement items, I think part of that is our obligation to look at MWP participation. And rather just than sort of accept it month after month, could we get a presentation or an explanation into how are those determinations made? And I think it's important for us to understand that, because we're making approval not just in terms of the actual contract, but the participation of minority and companies.
Figure out the best way to comment on it.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
The next item requests the board's approval to award a competitively solicited contract to 5 taxi cab companies to provide transportation services to approximately 900 students. The estimated annual cost is $8.2 million. The contract term is July 24, 2019 through June 30, 2022, with one-year renewal.
So I'm assuming that the drivers of these cabs have been vetted and there's a process to ensure that our kids are safe in these cabs.
Correct. There is a yearly vetting process, one for new drivers and one for continuing drivers. So the in-service is for new drivers, they go through background checks, drug and alcohol testing, and they get extensive training on transport students. Same thing for the pre-service for the new drivers, in-service for the drivers who are already
I've always been interested in this subject. Why don't you list the companies when we're missing it?
No, it's listed under vendors and amount.
Sorry?
It's listed under selection modality. Methodology. Page 10.
Yeah, okay.
Where's the bottom of the page.
Okay, ABC, freedom of C. What percent, this 900, I seen, is it correct that these are students with IEPs?
Most of them are homeless students. The second largest now are students with IEPs.
Do you know the total budget number for our taxi cab requirements? And what percentage is this of that total number?
Let me do the math.
Good morning, Executive Director of Operations, John Lane. So this past school year, the numbers are still, it's still early, the numbers are changing, but right now the proportion of students on taxi cab of our total curb-to-curb ridership, which includes students with disabilities, students who are homeless, and SAL students, was lower this school year than the previous school years. We still have to analyze the numbers, but it's trending. I believe it's going to be about 3 to 5%, somewhere in there. Lower.
What is, you know the number, absolute number, last year that received curb-to-curb taxis?
So last school year, about 1,351 students. This school year, again, the data changes as information comes in and out of our systems. Right now, it's about 1,036 students this school year. So there's about a difference of 315 students from last year.
And we're asking, we're budgeting 900. What's the difference between the 900 and the estimate for the street? What's the total, is this an approval for the next school year for the number of kids that will be receiving curb-to-curb?
Yes. And the limit will be on the dollars.
We're assuming 900. Is that right?
Over the course of this contract, right? Or
Yes.
Over the course of
Yes. And it fluctuates depending on
from
ridership.
19 to 22.
Right, this past school year, ridership as a total for curb-to-curb was lower than last school year.
And
Slightly.
do each of the companies, we pay the same to each,
Yes.
all five?
Yes. It's the rate is determined by PSC, which is the Public Service Commission. And it's each contractor goes by that same rate.
Do you know how this year compares to last year in terms of the bids, the rates? Are they flat? Are they increasing?
Well, the rates would be fixed.
I mean,
Based
compared
on-
to last year's costs,
Well, last year's cost because of
more people.
ridership.
I'm curious, in the actual rate that they did, is it roughly the same as last year?
So the rate would be the same. The only thing that changes from year to year is the number of students we put on the test stand.
Right. So this year, it was a competitive process. 5 companies have been awarded the responsibility. They gave us a rate per ride, I guess, or something like that. So how did that rate that they gave us for this year as part of this competitive process compare to last year?
So the rate isn't given by the taxi cab companies, it's determined by the distance from home to school, and there's a system in place that calculates that mileage to give the cab company.
Right, but you're multiplying mileage times.
Right, those rates are governed by the Public Service.
Right, and I'm just asking, was it?
They're the same. Yeah, based on.
It was the same last year.
Yes.
Correct. Everything's an estimate except for the amount you're asking.
I'm sorry.
I mean, what you're asking for is 8.2 million. That's basically the fixed number, everything else is.
Yes, that's, so this past school year, fiscal 19, with the decrease in ridership, there's been some improvements in our management of the taxi cab process. We fixed the formula that we used to estimate our taxi cab costs, and so that has driven the rates lower. than we have using it. The rates stay the same, but our computation of them changed based on an error. And that has decreased our costs for this school year over last school year. And we're collecting those payments made in error from the vendors as well. So our trend this year, again, the numbers have to, invoicing is still coming in from this past school year, but I believe it'll be significantly lower than last school year. It'll be lower than what we're asking for.
You know, when people look at the number, they see that the 8.2 million. When you go further in the weeds, in terms of number of kids and $50 per day, it's more acceptable. So I guess when we try to articulate this, it's important to go through the whole linear thing in terms of 8.2 million is because of the when somebody looks at the 8.2 million in the side, they say it's too much. But when you drill down to $50 per cab per kid, it's more acceptable. I'm just speaking as a citizen.
Yeah, you're right, it's acceptable if you're, if it's if you're using a rationale as far as the cost goes. But there are concerns, with taxi cab as the safety of the taxi cabs. Buses are generally much safer. And the pressure that we have on us is getting bus drivers, and that really pushes us to use taxi cab. But I have to say that proportion, to the first question, that proportion of ridership that's in taxi cab this year over last year has dropped. And that is, with a decrease of about 6 buses, that pressure, the Office of Pupil Transportation still reduced the number of kids on taxi cabs significantly.
In my ears, got a little bit burdened. You said assaults. You said you have kids that are homeless, you have kids that are IEPs, and you have kids that are assault students. Explain assaults.
No, a student's English learner. An English learner.
Oh, okay.
So we have some programs that are have the teachers and the curriculum that not every school has, but it has what that student needs to transport those students. But most of those students are on yellow bus by far.
So you didn't say assault students.
ESOL.
Okay.
English speakers of other languages.
Okay.
It's a program, it's filling out a description of the student. The student, I guess we would describe it as English learners.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Great, thanks.
One more, right?
Yes. Yes. And the last item, requesting board's approval to piggyback a competitive solicited contract with Enterprise Fleet Management to provide vehicle leasing, vehicle maintenance, and fuel services. The estimated annual amount of the contract is $2 million. The contract term is July 24, 2019 through December 31st of 2021, with one 5-year renewal option.
Remind me, was this bid, or how does this work? Is it a finance contract? How does that work?
A cooperative called Educational Institutional Co-op, ENI. They're the ones that solicited, and we're piggybacking off of their contract. We also compared that contract with, I believe it was NJPA, another contract that Enterprise had, and this one was a better deal for city schools. So we compared 2 piggybackable contracts.
In addition, Commissioners, the current contract with Enterprise, they're engaged with Kent County, Wycomico County, Dorchester County, Talbot County, Cecil County Schools, and Prince George's Schools, as far as their fleet.
I just using this as an example, for the question, again, we're waiving their MWB participation, but I'm seeing that we're procuring leasing, maintenance, and fuel services. And I'm certainly not expert to say, because I don't know the industries, whether or not that is segmentable, whether there are fuel service companies or maintenance companies that are certified minority businesses. So if we could just on this one, Christian, just sort of get an explanation so we can understand how is it that this particular contract is waived, and maybe it's because it's piggybacked on others, which then avoids the MBE requirement, which is not great, or maybe it's because these are not segmentable. So if we could just get an understanding. I mean, we all know the benefits of procurement and procurement locally and procurement of minority and women-owned companies because it helps our economy. It helps the families of the students that we're serving. So I'm not really clear why procurement after procurement after procurement, what we see are waivers when we know there are benefits to all of the economy by hiring local companies, hiring minority companies who tend to hire African Americans. So that is the objective of the program, I know, and I'm sure that that is the objective of the people who run the program, but I'm just not comfortable that we're actually exercising in good faith. So I'd like to understand.